Hey guys, welcome back. We're still talking about Python dictionaries, and in this video we're going to look at some methods that that are commonly used with dictionaries, and we're also going to look at how we can use a dictionary in a loop. All right, let's get started. Now, I just want to remind you of some terminology here. We said that that the first, the first thing in a pair is called a key, and that's kind of like the index. The index is a key, and then the second thing in a pair is the value. So there's like a key value pair, and then all of those things together are called items. And so I have this from the last video. Actually, I have something called birthdays already in memory. If I hit birthdays, Amanda is a key, its value is April 1st. Bob is a key, its value is March 13th, and so on, all the way down to Zach is a key, and its value is December 12th. So I'm going to use that. I've got that in memory. And the first method I want to look at is the dot values method. And if you remember from our study of lists, when we talked about methods with lists, the syntax was always like variable name variable name dot method, and then we could send that method some inputs. It's like a function being called on itself, right? So we're going to use that same syntax here. So I'm going to say birthdays, and then I'm going to say dot, and then the method that I want to use here is values. So this is the values method, and I'm just going to send it nothing in the input, and I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see it returns a type dict values, and it's just April 1st, March 13th, July 11th, July 9th, September 10th, and December 12th. So it gives me all of the values in the dictionary without the keys, right? So that can be helpful. Like if you wanted to iterate through all of those values, you could say something like this. You could say for like date or whatever variable name you wanted, in birthdays dot values colon, and then we could just like print the date. So after that, oops, birthdays dot values, excuse me, birthdays dot values. There. And so you see what happens here is that all of the dates are printed out. So this would say set date equal to April 1st, and then print April 1st, and then come back up and set date to equal March 13th, and then print March 13th, all the way to setting date equal to December 12th, and then print date. So you see the in keyword works with birthdays.values. So that's nice. The values can be iterated through. Excuse me. So this birthday.values, it returns this value of dict. It's of type dict values. It's not quite a list. It's not exactly ordered, even though it appears as an order. You can't slice it or anything like that. You can't use dot append, but it is useful to iterate through, as you see here. Now, if there's a values method, then there's probably a keys method as well. So let's check that out. So we can say for name now, because the name, the keys were the names of people. For name in, or I can call it whatever I want there, but I'm going to call it descriptive, like names. Birthdays dot keys. Okay, and I will hit print that name. All right, so you can see now it iterates through the keys this time. It sets name equal to Amanda, and then it prints Amanda's name. Then it comes back up to the for loop, sets name equal to Bob, and then prints Bob, and so on all the way down to Zach, sets name equal to Zach, and then prints Zach's name as well. So that's kind of cool. And if you just type birthdays dot keys like that, you'll see that the output is of type dict keys, and it looks kind of like this list, although what we said was you cannot slice it and you cannot append to it. If you wanted a true list, like maybe call it list of names or something, you could use the list function. Like you can say, hey, convert this thing to a list. So birthdays dot keys, like this. And now list of names is a list, and it contains all of those names. And so now it's a list of a variable type, and so I can slice it, I can index it. The 0th index is Amanda. I can slice it. I can say 1 to 4, something like that. It gives me Bob, Colleen, and Darren, and so on. So just you can use the same operations that you're used to when you do have a list. Now, the really cool thing here too is that you can iterate through the items also. So we looked at the keys method, the values method. Now let's look at the items method. I'm going to clear the command window, and let's say for I in birthdays dot items, and I can call this I, whatever I want, whatever variable name. So what am I going to do with I? I'm just going to print I just to see what it looks like. And then what you'll see is that the items method returns the key and the value as a tuple. You see that because it's in parentheses. So this sets I to the tuple Amanda April 1 and then prints that tuple. Then comes back up, sets I to be Bob March 13th, prints that tuple all the way down to setting I equal to Zach December 12th in a tuple and then printing that tuple. So that can be pretty useful as well. And we can use that unpacking method to unpack these tuples. So for example, let's say I wanted the keys and the values. I wanted to iterate through those. I could say for name or whatever I want to call it, comma, so I'm going to comma delimit the unpacking, and date in birthdays dot items. So again, what this is going to do is it's going to pull out the first thing in the tuple, set it equal to name, and then it's going to pull out the second thing in the tuple and set it equal to date. So now what I can say is like something like let's print name plus, for concatenation, and we'll say has a birthday on, and then we'll concatenate the date like that. All right, so let's just check that out. Enter. And you see Amanda has a birthday on April 1st, Bob has a birthday on March 13th, all the way down to Zach has a birthday on December 12th. That's really convenient. Again, what that's doing is it's getting the items. So Amanda, the names and the birth dates are items. And then it's getting each item as a tuple, or each pair of items as a tuple, and then it's unpacking the tuple, setting name equal to the first thing in the tuple, because that's what we've called it and how we've listed it, and it's setting date equal to the second thing in the tuple, unpacking it nicely there. So that can be really helpful. And also then we can do things like we wonder, hey, is Francis in our dictionary? Well, we could say, well, Francis is a name, right? So we could say Francis in birthdays dot, and then we'd want the keys in this case. So is Francis in birthday dot keys? No, Francis is not. But how about Eileen? Is Eileen in birthdays dot keys? Let's check that out. Let's try that. And that returns true. Yeah, Eileen is in birthday.keys. All right, so we can also use the values, right? We could say, hey, is obviously Eileen wouldn't be in the birthday values, but we could say is July 9th in birthday.values, and let's see. Oh, birthday.values, excuse me, I forgot the S there. And yeah, July 9th is in birthday.values. And so that means that on July 9th, hey, we better call our buddy, Darren, because there's a birthday on that date. But we could ask, hey, on September 1, is that in birthday.values? And it returns false. So there's no birthday in the database on September 1st. Right, so that can be useful as well. And another common method is the get method. And so let's have a look at that. We can say something like birthday, birthdays, that's the name of our dictionary, dot get, and we're going to ask it for a key. So like we're going to say, hey, get the Amanda value. Now Amanda's birthday is April 1st, so we could say, yeah, get that, and and then we're going to give it a default value. Like if Amanda's not in our dictionary, say something like no such person, or something like that. That's what I want it to return. So now we call birthdays.get and we send it Amanda, and the default no such person. Amanda is in our dictionary, and so it returns April 1st. But if I asked for Francis, who's not in our dictionary, Francis, okay, then this operation or this method returns no such person, as you might expect. Okay, so these are just some of the common methods. There are certainly many, many more methods that we could use on our dictionaries, but these are just the common ones. And in particular, the values, the keys, and the items can help us iterate through the dictionary. All right, so that's all I have to say for dictionaries, and I will see you next time. Thank you.